We've got four. We've got four. Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and the Commanders. Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, rather. And Josh Allen gets to go face off against KC's Patrick Mahomes. What a quad we've got left in store for us in the final showdown of these four teams. I can't wait. Josh Allen, a monster. Lamar Jackson had a very mediocre game, but you can pin it all on Mark Andrews if you want. But the Ravens folded again. And as we've talked about with this NFL MVP award, it should be given to you in relation to the NFL playoffs. Why have an award, the NFL MVP, that has no relation to the playoffs? Because the playoffs are where Lamar folds. JD5, there's no debate. It's either Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley in the conversation out of respect. But the MVP should be given to Josh Allen or JD5. These are two teams that don't have the firepower that any of the other teams have. They're the most valuable, the MVP, most valuable to their teams, these two players, Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen, than any other player in the National Football League. It's a mockery, to be honest with you. We're talking about these two games here today, breaking down the stats. The Buffalo Bills win. The Eagles win. Very close. I think the Eagles are vulnerable, I believe. And let's see if the bracket is still... It's perfect. I don't have to touch it. This is what we said last night. I still believe the Washington Commanders knock off the very vulnerable, masking all their problems through Saquon and defense, Philadelphia Eagles. I think if you do try and bottle up Saquon to the best of your ability, this team can knock off this team. Jaden Daniels going to the Super Bowl to face off against one of these two quarterback monsters. I think KC pulls it off, but it's going to be a very close call. KC versus the Washington Commanders. You know my heart wants it to be Washington to win, but probably my brain and my wallet when I go on Underdog and do all kinds of hires, lowers, and make different picks and pick'ems based on this game, you know my brain is probably telling me that I need to roll with the KC Chiefs. My heart's going to say Washington. Maybe I hedge it just to be safe. That's what I recommend all of you do if you're doing any sort of dropping on this particular type of stuff. Hedge it a little bit. Have a little skin in the game on all levels because it's football. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. The Washington Commanders could easily win it all. They could easily get knocked off, next round. Let's talk about it. I'm excited. You're excited. File on in. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
The FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
What a day. What a nice little day. We've got some stats to go over. We've got some predictions to drop. We've got first this LAR versus the Philadelphia Eagle game where Kyren Williams toted the rock 5.6 yards per carry style. 19 carries, 106. Kyren Williams at the bottom, one catch for -1 yard. Could have been a much better day for Kyren if they fed him right and if they're moving the football down the field. 19 carries, he could have got more. Matthew Stafford, like I predicted last night, would fold in the snow. It didn't snow until halftime, roughly halftime. As soon as it started snowing, Matthew Stafford, as the stats predicted, would fold and turn into a frozen pumpkin. And he certainly did. He folded in this game. Absolutely dropped the ball, literally. And this was a Matthew Stafford debacle once the snow started coming down. This is why I try to warn everybody that was placing any kind of wager on this thing that if it starts to snow, and it was most likely going to snow more than it did, the first half you got lucky that it didn't snow more, that Stafford would lose this game. Stafford lost the game. History is undefeated in this type of stuff when it's this glaring. History's undefeated when it is this glaring, and Stafford is garbage in the snow. Puka Nacua, 6 for 97. Even though he had a good number, he was underutilized. Cooper Kupp, 5 for 61. That's the first signs of life we've seen of Cooper Kupp in a while. And we'll see if they end up trying to trade him, if a team would even be interested. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Jalen Hurts, didn't deserve to win this game. I smashed I hit hard on these underdogs today. I smashed the under on that Jalen Hurts, and I put some stuff on my IG. I'm sorry I didn't do a lot of it on my YouTube, but I definitely put it on IG for a lot of you guys. This is the contest that I just cashed right now. I pushed on like 4 of them, but out of like 7 and 8 pick'em type of contests, so it was nice to lose like 1 or 2 and still get your money back. That's what's so awesome about Underdog. Promo code Smitty. Link is being dropped in the live chat as we speak. Links in the description, and Underdog Fantasy, if you use code Smitty, they'll give you 50% match on your first deposit. Just drop the link. I'm going to pin the link in the live chat right now. Link has been pinned. But on Underdog, smash the hell out of these. This is the one that I said I was going to drop 100 on. You drop 100 on 3 or 4 hires or a lower. I did a lower on Jalen Hurts. There was no way in hell he was throwing more than 199 yards. The guy's been throwing like dog water. He's horrible right now passing the football. Saquon touchdown. That was as easy as can be. James Cook, that one was a little close. 56 yards he rushed for. 55.5 was what he needed. But that one landed. Derrick Henry, that was easy. 1 touchdown. That smashed. I encourage you, if you're able, capable, and make sure you never, put down anything you can't afford to lose. And if you need any sort of guidance or help, I have a phone number right here. But if anybody would like to partake in Underdog Fantasy, 50% match on your first deposit, all the way up to $1,000. The minimum is only $10. It's so fun having extra skin in the game, watching these games with all these landing. This one I did 100 to pay $335. The reason I do that is because it's a lot more in your control to land 3 or 4. Doing 7 and 8, I did a bunch of 7 and 8 contests, and you missed one. It's so easy to miss one, and then it just negates all the profit. So I do a 3 or 4 and drop a bigger amount of money on it. I do 3 or 4 that I think I'll almost always get the 3 out of the 4, which will give me my money back because you do a flex play. But this absolutely smashed. Saquon Barkley, 205 yards. You can see right here. 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, 4 for 56. Saquon also pulled in 4 for 27. Jalen Hurts was trash except for the 70-yard touchdown run, which is really in his wheelhouse of things that he can still do. But he got banged up in this game. At the end of the game, they asked him, "Are you healthy?" He wouldn't answer the question. He said, "I finished the game." They go, "But are you healthy? Are you injured?" He goes, "I finished the game." Wouldn't answer the question. He's going to be hurt in this game. Washington's going to be hampered in this game. Philly. Washington's going to have an advantage, a quiet advantage, as their quarterback is 100% full go, and Philly is going to be a little bit hampered by a guy that's already restricted. He can't throw the football very well. Jalen Hurts is turning into a bad passing quarterback right before our very eyes. Washington, I say, wins this game. Let's swing on over to the other side of this thing and put the Ravens-Bills stats on screen. Over here, Josh Allen, 127, 0 TDs passing, 0 INTs, but Josh Allen had 2 rushing touchdowns, 20 yards. James Cook had 17 for 67. Ty Johnson, 31 yards rushing. Shakir, 6 for 67. Kind of a bland day for the most part, except for Derrick Henry getting 85 yards and a touchdown, likely getting 73 and a touch. Lamar Jackson, 2 passing touchdowns and 39 rushing. Not a bad day for Lamar, but from a statistical perspective. But Lamar definitely had a pretty bad day, you could say, in spots that were important, as did Mark Andrews dropping the football, as did Derrick Henry dropping the football. There were a lot of bad moments for this entire Baltimore Raven team, but they were playing down and out, playing nervous football because of Lamar. Lamar had a horrible fumble where it looked like Lamar had the anytime touchdown on himself. He literally bad snap, and he just like throws the football down. It was awful. It almost looked like he threw the football down on purpose. It was so bad. I'm not saying he did, but it felt like this guy's got an anytime touchdown on himself. Anytime fumble on himself. He's got an anytime defensive recovery return for a touchdown on himself. But Derrick Henry, 84 and a touch. This has been a glorious playoff. This has been a glorious playoff. Here's my bracket once again, untouched from last night. Everything stays the same. Washington, I believe, advances. KC, I believe, barely advances. This one's hard, pulling on my heartstrings. As you guys know, that Buffalo is my second team essentially. But I'm using my brain. I'm not just using my heart here. I think this is logical. I think Washington beating a very hampered Philadelphia team that has a quarterback playing like dog crap, and it's all masked in disguise because Barkley and the defense are so damn good. But guess what happens? Every round you make it through, you're going to be facing tougher and tougher competition, and your holes become more glaring. And trying to put makeup on this thing and cover up all of your deficiencies becomes tougher and tougher. And winning consecutive games becomes far more unlikely when your team is struggling and has a major void and inconsistency in it. And the Philadelphia Eagles are just that. They're very, very tough to see the glaring holes and voids in this offense and everywhere in it. The injuries, Jalen Hurts being hurt is just it's gonna put the nail in the coffin, I think, for the Philadelphia Eagles, who are struggling to win games they shouldn't be struggling to win. You know, the Green Bay game, this game, I mean, you could say these teams fought hard, they're good teams, they're not garbage teams, I'm not saying that, but if anybody thinks that the Eagles shouldn't be blowing people out of the water, this should be a near undefeated team. The way Jalen Hurts used to play under Shane Steichen, a 300 passing quarterback that could throw 2 or 3 or 4 touchdowns at any given moment. If anybody thinks the Philadelphia Eagles from a roster constructed perspective, the talent on this team they don't think they should be blowing teams out of the water, I don't know what you're looking at. I see a team that is struggling every game, every day. They're struggling to win when they're saturated with more talent than any of these other teams. Washington's going to take them out. Just like I said that Stafford would fall victim to the weather, and he did. He turned into a frozen pumpkin. Washington is going to find and this prediction doesn't change. I had Detroit advancing and knocking off the Eagles. Whatever the case may be, whoever was coming in from this branch here was going to take out this team that is masking and disguising all of its deficiencies, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to get taken out. Let's open up the phone line and discuss everything about these 4 teams left, the final 4 teams left, these quarterbacks, this running back. You notice how we have the commander?
At the front door.
Ziggy, show me the front door. Who is at the front door right now? Ziggy, show me the front door.
Okay.
Who's at the front door? Oh, Miss Smitty's taking the trash out, I think. Ziggy, off. You notice how we have all the commanders? That's a bad term to use here because of Jaden Daniels on the commanders. You notice how we're using all of the field generals. You got Josh Allen, field general. Mahomes, field general. Jaden Daniels, field general. Who's missing from this screen? Yeah, Jalen Hurts. He's not a field general right now. He's playing like dog water. He reminds me in some ways in a very different way of Kyler Murray and how Kyler Murray's been playing. You put Kyler Murray on the Eagles, you're getting the same kind of result. You're masking all of Kyler Murray's deficiencies. He can run the ball a little bit. You keep pounding the rock with Saquon Barkley. You've got a defense. I do think A.J. Brown is headed down a dark path of maybe destruction and unraveling unless he gets traded to Washington in the offseason, which would be amazing because I think it eliminates a lot of the red flags that are attached to A.J. Brown right now. A.J. Brown in Philly has more red flags than just his knee concerns and injury history. And for those that think, oh, he played a lot of games, he's constantly getting knee scopes, and eventually that stuff catches up to you. Meniscus damage is very bad. Your knees deteriorate quicker when you have meniscus tears and cleanups and cut-ups and everything like that. So A.J. Brown comes with a red flag of injury risk for the future. But aside from injury risk, the major red flags are situation. Jalen Hurts not being able to throw the ball. Me taking the under with a smile on my face, snickering like a little kid in a candy store when I hit the under on the 199. 199, I would have hit under on 125. I would have lost by 3 yards, but I would have hit under on 125 passing yards. That's how bad Jalen Hurts is right now. So, anyway, Ethan the Negative, you're on the line. You're live. What can I do for you?
Smitty, my brother and I, we knew that with Zadarius Smith on the Lions, the way he was sacking Darnold, that wasn't going to happen against JD5. Just looked awesome.
JD5's the man, bro. Do you know what university he went to?
Himothy? Was that what it was called?
Correct. Ethan, what else can I do for you? What's your prediction here?
I think the Chiefs. Still got it. And I think they'll wipe out the Commanders if they go. You know.
I took off my KC wins. I'm not ready to lock this down yet. My brain is telling me to put KC. My heart's telling me to put Washington, but this is my finals. I'm going to leave my champion indicator off of these two right now. Maybe we'll close it out at the end of the show, and I'll either let my heart win or I'll say, it's destined that the Chiefs win. Whether people think it's the refs or the NFL or just a combination of everything. Taylor Swift's even involved in this. Like the NFL, the destiny of the NFL. But I will tell you this. I think Jaden Daniels can co-share the golden boy role for the NFL, and I think the NFL is going to be happy to allow him to win. This organization run by a bum, they get rid of him, they bring in a bunch of kind of like, you could say, non-football people, Magic and the boys. They come in, they clean this up in 1 year. The fan base has felt like they've been neglected, and there's been a lot of bad stereotypes being used toward the Washington Commanders for years in terms of this owner and what he's been doing, how embarrassing it's been to be a fan of Washington for so many years, especially at the head of a owner that just was despised by everybody. They get rid of him. Adam Peters comes over from San Francisco, becomes the best GM in football in 1 year. Jaden Daniels is the new poster child, the golden boy. I think they can co-share, and the fact that they're in different conferences is beautiful, because if, let's say, the NFL, which I don't believe, like everybody else, that the NFL's rigged, do I think there's a little corruption involved? Maybe. Sure. Do I think that maybe a ref could be bought? Yes. Do I think all the refs go into a meeting with Goodell and Goodell says, we're going to have KC win? No, I don't. I consider myself an open-minded person, but that is insane. Do I think there's corruption somewhere? Could a ref be bought? Yes, of course. Again, these are human beings making decisions. These are human beings in charge of this stuff. Human beings can be bought. It's certainly possible. People can be compromised, but the NFL is not rigged. There's no script. But if they do want to potentially, manifest, however they do it, a quarterback to go to the Super Bowl, now they got two golden boys. They get to go and meet every year, and they don't have to necessarily worry so much about which one. Of course, if both of them meet up, that's great. But KC, Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, either one wins the Super Bowl, the NFL is very happy, and people are making money. And JD5 is exciting. He's going to draw attention. He's going to sell tickets. He's going to sell NFL Red Zone purchases. He's going to sell uniforms. He's going to sell everything.
Smitty, you know why we can't take JD5 next year?
Why?
Because of that elbow picture from Himothy University. Remember? That bad elbow. We can't take him.
Any other dad jokes, Ethan, before I let you go? Appreciate you.
That was like, remember?
I know.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, no. What Ethan's talking about is he had a bursa sack that kept filling up, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you can't take him. Look at his elbow." And we're like, "You guys don't know anything about medical. No, you have no medical knowledge at all. It's a bursa sack. I could literally bang my elbow on this table right here, and if I bust the bursa sack, it's like an airbag, fills up." And then the problem is it continues to fill up because it's very hard to let it heal. You'll put your elbow on the chair and rub it the wrong way for just an hour, a half hour, driving your car, and it just keeps filling up. And there's no real way to, even if you drain it every day, it still fills up because, so he has that, I believe he still has it constantly. He has to wrap it and cover it. But yeah, it's funny how people didn't know. We know. We told you. We told every one of you that JD5 was not only the number one quarterback in this draft class, that Caleb was not even in the top 4 quarterbacks of this draft class, but that JD5 would be him and be a top 1 to 5 quarterback within a calendar year or two, and he did it right away. He did it right away.
Let him cook.
As Snoquan Barkley would do, I hit my head. As we dominate, we hit our head. That's what Snoquan Barkley did. All right, hang tight. Or actually, call back Ethan if you got another one. Travis, you're live.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, I think Washington can beat the Eagles. Like you said, the Eagles are vulnerable.
Totally.
But it is gonna be. Some people still don't even think of the Eagles' defense as like great, but that young core they have has just become amazing over the season. So I think that's the big matchup there is JD5 against that defense.
Yeah, I think so, but there's injuries all over right now. Everybody's playing hurt right now. You're watching Lamar scramble around pretty well. Like there were good runs that he had. I mean, there are other moments where he was getting, pummeled, but I think JD5, he's so quick and collective. He strikes so fast. And Lamar, if you notice, Lamar does scramble a lot more than I think he should in order to throw the football. I think JD5 is just a better pocket passer than Lamar. I've said that from the beginning. JD5 is the best pocket passer to come out of college in the last 10 years. People didn't want to hear it. They just wanted to say, he's a running... Wait a minute. I think I remember, Smitty. This can't be true, Smitty. I remember the stats said he was a 1,100-yard, 10-touchdown rushing quarterback last year. How could he be... How on earth could he be, Smitty? Where's my player profile on JD5? Here it is. Smitty, he ran for 1134 and 10. How could he be a good thrower? You're either a good running quarterback or you're a good passing quarterback. You can't be both, Smitty. It's a stereotype. I read it on the internet. But we told people, of his 40 passing touchdowns, yes, he ran for 10 in college his last year, the year prior. He ran for 10, and then he threw for 40. And 35 of his 40 passing touchdowns were from inside the pocket. 67% completion percentage on 20-plus yard throws from the pocket. Best in college football the last decade. That stat, by the way. But anyway, it will be very, very intriguing to me to watch an injured Jalen Hurts who can't throw the ball at all. Like I said, when I smashed this on Underdog, promo code Smitty, link pinned in the live chat, link in the description of the video. Underdog will match your first deposit all the way up to $1,000, 50%. So drop $10, they'll give you $5. 10's the minimum. When I saw this $199 line for Jalen Hurts, I laughed. I giggled. I had a belly laugh. And I said, 199 yards. This guy won't throw for $125 is what I told my buddy. And so I hit the under. Lock. Barkley, lock. Cook, lock. Henry, lock. These were all locks. I'm only mad I didn't throw more than 100 down. I should have put $1,000 on it. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, Jalen Hurts being banged up right now. Walking into a battle where he's going to become the liability. Jalen Hurts will be the liability. If the Washington Commanders focus on shutting down Saquon Barkley and forcing an injured Jalen Hurts to win this game, I think they're going to be in the advantage. I think Washington is just absolutely playing out of their mind. Kingsbury, whether you hate him or love him as a head coach, doesn't matter. He's offensive coordinator, and he's doing a bang-up job. And his offensive coordinating skills, what he's doing right now is always why he gets hired to be a head coach or get another opportunity. And then, I don't know. It depends on where he goes. If he goes to Chicago, I'm not saying he just goes and has immediate success. Sometimes offensive coordinators are not good head coaches. I don't know if that's totally true. He was Arizona Cardinal head coach. I liked him. Everybody hated him. They fired him, I think, prematurely. I think he had time to get better. but I love him as an offensive coordinator and a play caller. And if anybody can scheme up some crazy stuff against a defense that's going to be taxed, because Jalen Hurts is going to have a lot more 3-and-outs than people are, I think, thinking in this game. I think anybody can cook up and dial up some very specific plays for this particular team, the Philadelphia Eagles. It will be Cliff Kingsbury. I can't wait for this game. This will be the game of the entire playoffs right here. Washington versus Philly. It'll be so fun to watch.
And like you were just saying about Lamar versus JD5, obviously there's going to be comparisons, but Lamar started out as a run-first guy that became a good passer. And JD5 has always been a guy who follow him and watch him. There's a big difference.
It's funny when people say to me, like, you can't, like, there's people still saying this in the comments. Like, I have the Scott Hansen interview up on Instagram right now, a refresh of it, and it just says, I think this guy's going to be better than JD5 in every category within a 1 to 2 calendar year type of time frame. And there's still people in the comments right now. They're like, that's wild. I can't believe what you're saying. To say he's going to be better than Lamar Jackson is just wild. It's wild. He's already better than Lamar in several categories, and he's a rookie.
For sure.
He's a rookie. My statement is he will become better than Lamar in every category. The key word will be. Some of it's happening now. Some of it will happen next year. Some of it might take 3 or 4 years to get to that point. He's a rookie. As I say to people,
7 years Lamar's had.
I say to people, like, Baker has had a decade. Baker's finally doing it. Like, what are we talking about? Not to mention, like I keep saying to people, do you believe that Bo Nix is going to take a step forward? Do you think Drake May is going to take a step forward? When Justin Herbert was a rookie, did you think he'd take a step forward? What about Joe Burrow? You're always thinking, okay, this is his rookie year. He made a lot of mistakes. He's going to be a lot better. This is when you predict a sleeper, like a rising star. Bo Nix could surprise everybody, and I really believe he could. And he's going to just take this monster step forward. Because JD5 has been so good, people assume he can't take a step forward. It's ridiculous. It's one thing to be like, hey, I do believe Lamar will be better than JD5 always. That's fine. I'm not going to be mad at you over that. But when you say ridiculously embarrassing things to me like, hey, that's wild. After what you've already been told and now what you've already seen, you're still on board of that. That's a wild take, Smitty. That this rookie quarterback that's about to go to the Super Bowl maybe, and maybe even win the Super Bowl as a rookie, and no quarterback has ever started a Super Bowl, let alone shown up in a Super Bowl as a starter and won it. That's a wild take. And here's Lamar. Bye-bye, Lamar. Bye-bye, Lamar. Lamar goes bye-bye again. And you can blame it on Henry. You can blame it on Andrews. They both need to take some blame. But Lamar's the one that played mediocre football to get everybody in a nervous state. And Lamar's the one that just threw the ball out of nowhere. It was a high snap. Oh, he saved it. Good. And then he just throws the ball out, coughs it up, loses the ball. This was on Lamar. He's the quarterback. He's the signal caller. He's the commander-in-chief.
Well, and the thing is, talk about passing and, like, Lamar, and I give him all the credit in the world. Lamar and Harbaugh have built an offense that works for him, and he turned himself into a good passer, and he's a very good passer at times. And he can be accurate. But when you're talking about touch and just throwing the ball and seeing the ball come out of a guy's hand,
oh God,
and then watching him develop as a passer over the years. JD5, I don't think people realize you're talking about, a Drew Brees type of touch coming out of his hands, like that type of elite passer.
Yeah,
Lamar has made himself into a good passer.
Yeah, Lamar's good.
All-time type of passer.
Yeah, Lamar's good. He'll never be the best, quarterback to ever throw the ball. Like JD5 could.
The whole package.
Yeah.
I got arm, the run, put it all together.
I got Ron Navy on the line. Ron, you're live.
What's up, Ron?
Hey, what's up, Smitty? What's up, Travis?
What's up?
I just I got 4 teams through on Underdog, and I got every combination covered. So all I got to do is make it past the next round. Nice.
That's good.
That's just in the mitten. So they're not the big tournament.
Yeah. I can't. They're gonna do another mitten, right? Like with the 4 teams. I think they just redo a mitten each round.
They should do something.
Yeah. I think they're gonna.
They always do something. I'm thinking that it's ironic that all 4 teams are in the East Coast or close to it, bad weather teams. They know all 4 teams know how to play in cold weather. They know how to play in inclement weather. It should be really interesting. There's no excuse for any of the teams, whatever happens. I hope I'm rooting for Buffalo. I hope that they can do enough to get over any ref calls that are made, and they can maybe. The key for Buffalo is to get a lead early, and I'll be watching the rest close. I think everybody.
I mean,
I'm
obviously.
We'll have to see.
I'm obviously rooting for
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Even though my bracket has KC, I'm rooting for Buffalo to face Washington. That would be my my dream matchup. I want Josh Allen. If Josh Allen or JD5 could win a Super Bowl, like if it's down to them two, that's amazing to me because I have a big smile on my face. Josh Allen finally gets the accolade he needs. JD5 could win it. Like I love Mahomes too. I'm a big defender of Patrick Mahomes, clearly, but I would rather have Josh Allen JD5 face off. So that we have a chance of just walking into that game going, doesn't matter who wins it. To me, I'm going to be ecstatic about it because my Bills will win or my boy JD5 wins. Either way, I'll be absolutely on cloud 9.
Well, and what's great about it, because I have Allen and I have Daniels on the same team and stuff. So, if those two are playing in the Super Bowl, it's great to have that combination because – I mean, they're both rushing quarterbacks. They're both Allen is you could guarantee at least 1 touchdown out of Allen, if not 2 per game.
Hey, Emmanuel, you still have time to. You want me to delete this for you? There's still time. What are you talking about? You're saying this in a negative way. We know that. Like you're saying he's Stroud 2.0. You're saying his sophomore year.
I don't think so.
Hold on. Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying his sophomore year, he's coming in JD5 and he's going to crap the bed. That's what Emmanuel's saying. Emmanuel, it's embarrassing, bro. I know you didn't get a slice of cake, but you don't have to act like the cake's garbage just because you don't get to eat a slice, bro. You know? Be objective about it. If you want me to delete this, I can delete it before too many people read it, Emmanuel. Or you can call in the phone line and be happy to elaborate. And Plato wants the phone number anyway. Smitty, I need the call-in number, mate. Here it is, my boy. And let's call in, bro. What was the guy's name? It was Emmanuel. Emmanuel, call in. I almost guarantee you won't.
Call into the show.
I think he meant it the other way. I think because Stroud had a fantastic rookie year. I think he meant it as Daniels having a better than Stroud.
I don't know. To me, that sounds negative. I mean, Stroud's playing kind of trash overall this year, so I don't know.
This year, yeah.
I don't know why you'd want to. I don't know why you'd want to compare him to. That'd be like saying to me that Bowers had a Kyle Pitts type season. He's Kyle Pitts 2.0.
No.
Yeah, Ron.
Because we were all enamored by Stroud last
Kyle
year.
Pitts has had one of the best tight end rookie seasons ever.
Yeah, I know that.
So it's the exact same.
What I'm saying
it's the exact same, though.
We all were giving Stroud his accolades last year because he was fantastic last year as a rookie.
I know. That's what I just said.
Up to Daniel.
Right. So saying that Bowers is a Pitts 2.0 is the same thing as saying that JD5 is a Stroud 2.0. Because Stroud turned into...
I don't think...
Stroud crumbled this year. He had a great rookie year and crumbled. Kyle Pitts had a great rookie year and has crumbled ever since.
I hope Emmanuel calls in and
yeah, I hope he calls in and says, my fault. Let me say it over.
That's how I took it.
JD5's a monster. How's that? I don't see Emmanuel calling in, though. Emmanuel, I hope you're wrong. Or I hope you wrote it wrong. Because that's embarrassing. Okay.
Didn't take it like that.
I did. I took it like that. Okay.
I know you did.
Ben Do
get the other way.
Ben Do $10 hauler. I'm an Eagles fan, but I would give anything to have JD5 instead of Hurts. Of course he would. I just don't believe in Hurts. No one does right now. And look, I was a big, strong defender of Jalen Hurts. Was not only a top 5 NFL quarterback, or I'm sorry, not only a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but also a top 5 NFL quarterback under Shane Steichen. And once Shane Steichen left, and he could do amazing things with AR5 if he has enough time and if AR5 does develop. Or maybe he brings in another quarterback. Maybe they trade AR5 and draft somebody. Who knows what Steichen does. But as soon as Steichen left, it started to fall apart. And I believe that you could save Jalen Hurts. He's got a lot of physical talents. And he's a calm, cool, collective guy. I think he can lead guys and lead men. I think he's a very good player. But he's not a good thrower right now. He's crumbling. He's falling apart. And Sirianni is not necessarily using him or coaching him up properly right now. And I think things are getting worse for him. And now he's getting banged up every year. And the tush push has been used in an out-of-control fashion where he's just getting completely abused and hurt and banged up. And he's playing hurt for an entire season now. He gets hurt really early on. They hide a lot of the injuries. Sirianni doesn't reveal anything. Remember Sirianni said that, was it Hurts or somebody had a sprained ankle? I think it was Hurts. And then one of the PR guys was sitting next to him and goes, no, he's not hurt. And Sirianni goes, oh, never mind, he's not hurt. They're at a press conference. They hide everything. They don't tell us anything. This is as bad as Denver with their running back situation. They're never going to tell you in Denver who's hurt, who's going to play. You even got told that by Sean Payton. He said, I will never tell you the truth about my running back situation or really any injuries. He told everybody that at the podium, and yet people still believe him when he says stuff. The Niners are notorious liars and deceivers and deceptive with all their injuries. Shanahan can't be trusted for anything. He didn't let anybody know that Christian McCaffrey had bilateral Achilles tendonitis. And Sirianni's the same way. So anyway, end of the day, JD5 runs circles around Jalen Hurts. And while I once thought Jalen Hurts had the capability of being a top 5 NFL QB in conjunction with his top 5, and he still has top 3 to 6 fantasy football quarterback value right now, there's no top 5 NFL quarterback value in Jalen Hurts right now. He probably is something along the lines of 7 to 10. Because his ability to run, his ability to keep a defense honest, but he is not a good passing quarterback. He's nowhere near a top 10 quarterback in throwing the football. And he once was. Under Shane Steichen, he was a 300 to 400 yard passer and 3 to 5 touchdowns any given game throwing the ball. But he's fallen apart. Sometimes coaches are really important. They're the glue of some of these situations. And you take a good coach away from a quarterback that's kind of glued together and playing very well. A best example of this would be, in Minnesota, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying Kirk wasn't good at one point, but clearly the Minnesota Vikings system and the coaching helped prop him up a little bit better than he was. Weekend at Bernie's holding him up. He's not really sitting up, but they're holding him up. He's sitting upright. That's the way it is. Minnesota can prop up a quarterback, not saying they're garbage, but to look a lot better than they really are. If Sam Darnold leaves Minnesota, which he probably will now because he turned into a pumpkin at the end, and I think he goes elsewhere, he will get a $45+ million per year contract. Might be a very short deal. Protected team might be protected. Might have some outs after 1 year or 2 years, but look really good. Darnold is probably it's going to be like turning the lights on at the club. Darnold's going to look a lot different when the lights come on. And everyone's going to scatter. Yeah. And he's not going to be the same player. Minnesota does that. Minnesota's a great team, great coaches, great system. J.J. McCarthy will be propped up as well. Now, maybe J.J. McCarthy does have a whole lot more natural talent than either Cousins or Darnold. Who knows? We'll find out. I'm not saying he doesn't. And if he does have even equal talent or a little bit better, he will look really good. And that's okay. There's no harm or shame or guilt for you going out and playing good football in a good system. But I'll tell you this. Hurts is not in a good system for passing the ball anymore. He's got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, and Devontae Smith, and he can't throw for 128 yards passing? This is unbelievable. And this is not the first time. The reason he has this line of 199 is because he's so bad throwing the ball right now. So, yes, Bendu, everyone would love JD5. JD5 is maybe the number one overall quarterback in the National Football League. Him and Josh Allen are neck and neck. They're Mahomes is NFL-wise right, obviously right there, if not, you could say even maybe better, but from like a production standpoint, because Mahomes isn't as productive right now as those two. So from a fantasy or productive standpoint, Josh Allen, JD5, Joe Burrow. From a NFL mind perspective, you're starting a franchise tomorrow. Mahomes, Josh Allen, JD5, Joe Burrow, kind of the same collective. It's just Mahomes kind of bounces around a little bit in there depending on the conversation you're having and what's the criteria of the conversation. But good God, man, JD5 is on his way. Hold on, guys. Let me just get these super chats out of the way. BBQ dropping a $20 holler. My boy.
Super chat alert.
BBQ, appreciate you dropping the $20 holler, my friend. JD5 has Mahomes-type arm and runs like Lamar. He is a unicorn, poise, never panics, wise beyond his years. Smitty nailed it on JD5. Bears, not so much. Thank you, BBQ. Appreciate you dropping that $20 holler, you straight-up monster. Lapdog, you never called in. I put the phone number on the screen, bro, but I'm waiting for you to call in. Smitty, who is your top 5 QBs going into next year as of now? I'll break that down here in 1 second. It's a good question. Bendu, I think I got Bendu's out, and then I got the other one from Lapdog. So appreciate you guys for dropping those super chats. And as of my top 5 quarterbacks walking into next year, I'm going to say Josh Allen probably remain. Josh Allen and JD5 back and forth. I give me the offseason to really lock that in, or give me the early part of the offseason. Jaden Daniels will only get better. So that's why I'm very tempted to say, very tempted to say, like, if they bring in T. Higgins, they bring in, a player like Debo or whatever, it'll certainly change things a lot. So I'm very curious to know what they do. I believe it's you're never wrong going Josh Allen in, all things being, considered. So Josh Allen, JD5 neck and neck. I think Lamar and Joe Burrow and Mahomes and Hurts are probably next. I think it's just kind of a grab bag at this point, but I could certainly argue and break it down for you. I think Bo Nix, Penix Jr., Drake May, Baker, Jordan Love, like those guys are all, it's kind of weird because when you look at the quarterback rankings walking into this coming season, it feels like it got top heavy and then the middle got very, what's the right word? I don't want to say it's bad, but when you look at Bo Nix, Penix Jr., AR5, Love, May, Baker, all those guys, that is 7, everybody from 7 and below. It's like it's a lot of unknown, I think is more the better word. Like there's parity. There's a lot of parity in it. And Baker, who's 12, he's the 12th guy I read off, or even past Baker, if I go down the rankings a little bit, Herbert, Dak Prescott, Kyler, like those guys are capable of being as good as Bo Nix, who I read off at number 7. So Dak or Bo Nix, the parity is crazy. It's 7 to like 15 where it's a blender. You just put them in a blender, turn it on. And even Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, like an AR5, like one of those guys could become top 4, 5, or 6, but I would say it's Josh Allen, JD5, then it's kind of like Lamar, Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, in that, not necessarily in any specific order of those guys, but right there. Mahomes depends on, Rashee Rice, but as he gets suspended, how's it looking in terms of his recovery? But it's going to be a wild offseason. And dare I say that the parity that I just described makes the early quarterback strategy even more of a move I'm going to deploy and promote, because I feel like there's a little bit more importance and I don't know what's the right word. Kind of struggling to define this today for some reason. It's there's just more importance and a little bit more like an exclusivity to have one of these quarterbacks, whereas I think walking into this coming year, everybody felt like the 6th quarterback, 7th quarterback could be top 2, top 3. But I think right now, JD5, Josh Allen, Lamar, even Burrow, you need to know what happens with Higgins, so you're not going to necessarily put him 2 or 3. But I do believe that there's a big difference. Even though I love Bo Nix, there's a big difference between those 3 or 4 quarterbacks at the top and the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a big, crazy difference walking into 2025, in my opinion. So I'm very, very on board taking Hurts even Hurts, but Josh Allen in round 2, Jaden Daniels top of round 3. Both of them in round 3 would be gold. Lamar in round 3 would be great. Burrow in round 4, he could even go 5, but 4 or 5 would be fantastic. The later you can get Joe Burrow, the better. Given Joe Burrow finished number 2, you could say, look, my weight on a quarterback strategy isn't taking one later. It's just taking Joe Burrow, the one guy out of the 4 that's falling to round 4 or 5. Like Joe Burrow is an early quarterback move at 4 or 5. That's crazy. So it'll be interesting. Hey, Smitty, should the Eagles fire Sirianni and hire Ben Johnson? Wouldn't that be crazy? It's going to be hard to fire a guy that's taking his team to the championship game. I think, I don't think they're going to fire him. I don't think he's on the hot seat coming out of this game. But we'll see. We'll see. Stranger things have happened, but I don't think he will be. All right, let me go over to John real quickly, then back to Travis, then back to Ron Navy. John, you're live. John from Miami.
How are you, Smith, sir?
Oh, this is Jafar. What's up, Jafar?
Good. You're the apex of RBs, in my opinion. You called Arian Foster a long time ago. I just want to know who's your top position player running back this year coming in. Is it Gibbs?
Bijan and Gibbs neck and neck. If I had to pick one, I go back and forth, to be honest with you, and I don't think there's any shame in that. I don't think there's any shame in not having a pick yet, because it's January 19? January 19. I don't feel bad about it. And I'd hate to just cement it in and then change it later. So I'm going to tell you, it's Bijan and Gibbs. It's definitely those two. I think Barkley is in the conversation, but because of the mileage and because he's still racking up the miles, he's still taking on abuse. It's gonna add up. And I'm not saying he's such an injury risk that I take him out of my top 4 overall, but when all things are equal, it makes it one of those things where it's okay, I nudge him down to 3 or 4 or 5 overall. But that's it. I mean, he doesn't fall any further than that, but he's still racking up the mileage right now. How many totals, Travis, can you look up how many carries he's had if you combined all of these games? Find out what.
Barkley?
Yeah, Barkley. What carry total is he at right now, and how many touches does he have on the year, all the way up to this game? If you could find out those numbers. But I think
over 400.
Yeah, I just want to get an exact number. Do I think AR5 can improve? Josh. Yeah, I mean, he could, Ray G, AR5, but he's definitely going to be 50-50 for us in terms of believing in him. It's a great question. What other questions do you have, Jafar? Thank you, Ray G.
Yeah, I have one concern with Bijan, that I didn't see him break out any huge runs like Gibbs did or Barkley did or Henry did, in the same number. So, you know what I mean? It's maybe Penix can give him that boost, but Bijan hasn't broke. It's just a bunch of 5 to 10 yard gains that he gets. He doesn't get the 30, 40 yarders that Barkley gets on a consistent basis. That's why I'm a little hesitant on
Yeah,
Bijan.
but wouldn't you say, and I'm not even sure entirely how true that is. I'd have to go look and see how many he had. He did have some breakaway runs, but the truth of the matter is, yes, you're correct that Gibbs is the kind of guy that gets you a 70-yard, 65, 70-yard touchdown run, not just once in a great while. But the thing about it is the trade-off is Bijan's in a full-time workhorse. He's built like a full-time workhorse, a traditional, 200 and Bijan weighs about 215 to 220, right around there. He's 6 foot, or he's about 6 foot. 5'11", 6 foot. He's that build, that frame that you want for that every down back. It doesn't mean Gibbs isn't as good. It just means Gibbs is more of a hybrid. He's more Christian McCaffrey, whereas Bijan, he isn't Derrick Henry. He does a lot through the air, but he's the grinded out between the tackle guys. So he's going to likely get more carries and more opportunities in certain ways than maybe even Gibbs in some ways, but Gibbs will be more efficient and it all kind of works out. But I don't think they're just two different players in two different offenses that run two different ways. So I think that it shouldn't be a concern for you because they're two entirely different running backs. You know, Gibbs is just more of a like Gibbs could have more. There could be a year where Gibbs has, 800 receiving yards or something. Like he's that kind of player. Bijan kind of could too, though. Like it's weird that they don't use him more receiving, but they love running the football with him. And Penix Jr. is the best thing that ever happened to him because what Penix Jr. does, it wasn't just that the team was trying to be careful with Penix Jr. I don't know, 626 caller, can you mute yourself if you could, or the background music or background noise? It isn't just that the team is trying to like baby Penix Jr., right? It was that Penix Jr. is a running threat. Kirk Cousins was not a running threat by any means. Penix Jr. had a great 40 time. He could run the ball amazingly. He proved it in his last game with that diving touchdown, hitting the pylon scamper. So defenses have to guard and spy Penix Jr., and he's a good thrower, like a really good thrower. I'm not saying that Cousins didn't have his day, but what we're looking at right now, what we've seen in front of our eyes the last season, okay? That's all we have to judge on. I'm not going into the past because I got Ron on the phone. But Kirk Cousins had 0 touchdowns in 4 straight games, and then his 5th game and final game, he had 1 touchdown. So that's 1 touchdown in 5 games. Defenses knew what was coming, and they could set up to block Bijan, scheme for Bijan, shut him down. That made it very one-dimensional offense anywhere at and around the goal line. Now with Penix Jr. there, the offense can do anything it wants. It's literally a potent aerial attack. They get in the 10, 5, 6 yard line territory. You don't know what's coming. You knew what was coming before. Play calling was dialed back. It was very stale. It was a lot of times a field goal. How many times, raise your hand in the Kirk Cousins era, raise your hand if you were in and around the goal line, you're like, this is going to be a field goal, damn it. This is going to be a field goal. They're going to botch it. They're going to have a bad rushing play. He's going to get stuffed. Then they're not going to throw the ball in. Now Penix Jr. makes it unknown. Defenses don't know what to scheme for, and Bijan's just going to run them in. And when they start, scheming for that, Penix Jr. is going to knife it into the end zone or rush it in. It's going to be remarkable. I just wish they would have made this change earlier, but it all happens for a reason. Penix Jr. may have mentally learned the game better than he ever would have if he'd not sat, so I'm not going to reflect and look backwards, but it certainly was a different offense, firing on all cylinders, totally potent, seemed completely different, seemed like they could score 40 points a game with Penix Jr. in there, and I can't wait. Anything else, JFR? Last question.
Sure. Assuming landing spot is good, where does Ashton Genty fall, in the running back ranking? Good landing spot, hypothetically.
I mean, we don't know. We've talked about this 1,000 times already. Essentially, the draft order is such that we're thinking there's a better shot that the Cowboys could end up getting him at 12 than we initially thought, like just because of the way the way it's fallen, the position of need, the RB position of need, the investment level of taking. It might be a trade up for him, though. If a team trades up, that could definitely throw everything off. But I think Jacksonville inside the top 10 would be a fantastic landing spot. Cleveland would be a great landing spot. But Cleveland's probably taking a quarterback. They're drafting number 2 overall. So it's hard to say what's going to happen. Where's my draft order? I have that somewhere around here. Let me pull it up here. But Genty in Chicago would be horrible. I do not want that. That would be my worst nightmare. Is this the draft order? Cleveland, I think this is it. So here's the draft order. Dallas has the 12 pick. Niners have 11. They scare the hell out of me too for Genty just because of Shanahan. God, that would be awful. Chicago, I think, would be awful. Not that Swift didn't have his moments and obviously do really well at times this year, but it's just not the organization I want Genty to develop in. They're very bad about developing players for the long term and surrounding them with the great offensive line. Genty maybe gets hurt because of it. I don't want him going there. Jacksonville would be fantastic. Giants would be great if Giants filled their void at quarterback with Fields. I would love that. Fields, or if maybe they're going after, let's say they're going after Arch Manning, or something. Maybe they go Darnold or Fields, whatever. I'd rather have Fields. Fields, Genty, and Neighbors. I know everybody loves Tracy. Those are the Cowboys would be ideal. I mean, it's tough to say though. You know, Cleveland, Giants, Jacksonville, Raiders. Raiders would be great.
Let's say that situation with the Giants happens. Is Genty a first-round pick, in your opinion?
He is a borderline first-round pick. If he goes to Dallas, he's a borderline. He's a 1-2 turn pick, no doubt. If he goes to the Raiders, are kind of like my dark horse as well, landing spot. Because they may not get the quarterback they want here. You can't force it. So if they can't move up, and Shador and Cam Ward are both gone, you get Justin Fields or Darnold. I hope it's Fields. Fields and Genty. It's a great formula for a lot of these teams. It'd be a great formula. All right, I got to go, bro. I got to move on. Appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, 626 caller. Oh, yeah, hold on, 626 caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? I'm going to come to you in 1 second, but I want to get Travis's answer real quick. But what's your name and where are you calling from, bro?
Hey, Smitty, it's Dante. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
Dante?
Yes, sir.
Dante from Phoenix. All right, hang tight real quickly, Dante, and I'll come right back to you. Travis, what are the numbers for Saquon Barkley? What are his carry totals through today's game?
So you just want the totals on both?
Yeah, totals for carries, totals for touches.
If I have it right here, I think he's got a 396 total carries, 39 catches, so that'll be 435 touches on the year. I think if I have it right, pretty sure.
Okay, if anybody wants to
touches.
See if they can validate.
I'm like 99% sure.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so that's for Saquon Barkley. That's a lot. You know, there's
51 carries in the 2 playoff games.
Yeah, there's stats out there that tell you in alarming fashion that a 370 plus carry running, if you have 371 carries as a running back, you get injured the next year. It's an extreme accuracy type of alarming stat. So it's concerning. You know, it's concerning. But he is Saquon Barkley. He is different. We just saw Derrick Henry have all these, for 2 years now, all these crazy stats thrown at Derrick Henry, and he continues to defy. And if anybody's going to defy in Henry-like fashion, it would be Saquon. So that's why I only move him down to 4. I only move him down to 4
but
people.
He hasn't done it.
Yeah. And
he's never gone more than 247 back-to-back years.
And on top of that, he's had a long list of injuries, and hard to judge him for the past when he was so healthy this year, but he has gotten banged up quite a bit. Like if you noticed, even tonight, he looked like he almost broke his wrist. And like other games, he's always kind of getting banged up, but man, he looks good, and I think you can only discount him so much because of these numbers and the fear factor involved. I would say 4 or 5 overall is still where I'm. And the other thing too is, like, even if he does get injured and miss some games, maybe he only misses 3 or 4 games in the middle of the year. And if you supplement that with another player, and like, let's say just using a guy like Tyrone Tracy as an example of what he did this year, if you could find next year's version of Tyrone Tracy or Trey Benson. Didn't he? I think Cedric Benson died. Trey Benson, if you use Trey Benson or whoever in that time frame, if you add those 4 game totals from that supplemental player with Barkley's, other games that he started, 12 or 13 games, you might still have running back 1. So you got to think about it, and understand that the risk involved is big, but maybe it's, uniquely not going to hurt you. Hard to say, but that does put Barkley below Bijan, below Gibbs, below Jamar Chase for me. I'll put Barkley 4 right now. Let me go over to this one. Ben Johnson leaves. Lions hire crap OC. Gibbs still running back 1. We're going to have to play that by ear. I don't think they'll hire a crap OC. It's certainly possible. Like, Arthur Smith could head to Detroit. Like, who the hell knows? Arthur Smith could head to New York. That's one rumor right now. That could devastate Breece Hall's value. So all these things definitely could impact. But I would say right now, I'm very slim to none chance that we're going to devalue Gibbs based on what happens there. Plus, you got to understand how much Campbell loves Gibbs, and I think that there's a chance that Gibbs gets more work if Ben Johnson leaves, but we'll see. Calvin, thank you for your super chat. Let me go over to Dante, then over to Ron. Dante, you're live from Phoenix.
What's up, Smitty? How's it going, brother?
It's good, bro.
I got a bone to pick with you, man. I can't disagree with what you say about Jalen about being a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but real life NFL quarterback, I mean, the guy just wins, man. I don't know how you say he's not a top 5 NFL quarterback.
Who?
Take away his first.
Who?
Jalen Hurts.
Well, because he's not playing well right now at all. He's not a good passer right now. He doesn't throw for passing touch. Like you're talking about trying to analyze a player and how good of a passer they are. Again, fantasy-wise, he's top 5. And Jalen Hurts has been top 5 NFL quarterback material. I was arguing the exact same point you're arguing against other people for about 2 years. But he has since regressed. He is not the same player. He is not a good throwing quarterback, bro. He hasn't been. This right here, like I said, was laughable. He threw for 128 yards tonight. What did he throw for the night before? Or the game before? It was
it was like 130 yards.
So what are you talking about?
You go back and look at it was like 130 yards last week. I think you go back and look at the film and look at guys getting open. They're not getting open.
Bro.
You look at tonight. You look at today.
Come on.
3,000 passing yards.
And the O-line is collapsing in front of him. But you look at Jalen, right?
He's got a great offensive line. What are you talking about?
So you take away his first. I agree. I'm a Birds fan, man. I don't disagree with you at all. But they're letting the pocket collapse, right? Great O-line regardless. But you take away Jalen's first playoff game in his career, and he has the 4th greatest.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter though. Like
he has the 4th greatest passer rating of all time in the playoff history. And you look at what he did in the Super Bowl. 2nd greatest passer rating in Super Bowl history behind Nick Foles.
That's not now.
It's the greatest performing Super Bowl by a losing quarterback in Super Bowl history. It's the greatest performance I've ever seen in my life.
Bro.
The guy continues to win. You say he's not a top 5 quarterback. All he does is win, bro. You look at tonight. Yeah, he wasn't extremely efficient, but what does he do? Win. This season, 12 wins last year.
Bro, a lot has to be contributed. Bro, I'm going to hang up on you if you keep over talking. Okay, so calm down. He has 290 yards in week 15. 108 yards passing in week number 14. 118 yards the week before that. 179 the week before that. No 300-yard games since week 3, and that was his only one on the season. He's not a good passer. If you want to narrow down to one category, if you want to nail down to one category and say that this guy, he does win games, but it's a team sport. He's got Saquon Barkley on his team. He's got an amazing defense, and it's masking a lot of his mediocrity. He's not a good quarterback right now, bro. You gotta have your fandom's getting involved here. If you're trying to argue that he's a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson, a better quarterback than Jaden Daniels, a better quarterback than Josh Allen, you could start bringing them back into the conversation after you start listing up that 5 or 6 guys. And I've said that exact thing. He's 6'7" to 12. From an NFL perspective, if you're drafting quarterbacks right now to run your team and you're starting from scratch, you're not drafting Jalen Hurts over the 5 quarterbacks I just listed. You're not. Are you telling me you draft Jalen Hurts from scratch over Joe Burrow, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, JD5?
So out of everyone you just
the answer is no.
I'll take him. I'll take everybody that you just said.
Exactly.
I'll give it to them except for Mahomes. Mahomes has been
Come on, bro.
The Chiefs.
Come on, bro. Bro, he's about to be, to a lot of people, be goated here. Were you out of your mind?
What he's done in the past, I agree 100%. What he's done these past 2 years, he has not been good. I understand he won the Super Bowl, whatever.
Bro, what happened to your all he does is win comment?
Fair enough, but then what do you say about Jalen then?
Because I can tell there's a big difference. Mahomes, when he's on the field, he performs magic tricks, bro. Jalen Hurts is playing like dog water. He doesn't throw the ball well. Like you're trying to take one category and say this guy deserves to be this, this, and this. Not to mention everything you're arguing gets thrown out the window because I essentially said after those 5 or 6 quarterbacks, he's back in the conversation in terms of ranking him in terms of NFL quarterbacks, not fantasy NFL quarterbacks. So you already got him in the same territory and bucket that I've got him. Maybe a spot higher.
Are we going off of stats or are we going off of wins?
Listen, let me rephrase it for you so that you know where I'm coming, because I answered it I talked about it exactly like this. From a fantasy perspective, he's top 5. Okay, he can even be 2. He can be number 3. Any given year, he can be 2, 3, 4, 5. From an NFL perspective, he's not top 5. He's not. He's somewhere around 7 to 12. And that's what I said. Okay. And now I list off 5 guys. You say you want all of them over Jalen Hurts if you're starting an organization, which means that he can be at best 6 for you. And I said 7 to 12. So what kind of bone do you have to pick with me is what I'm trying to ask you.
Hey, I'll give you credit, brother. I will give you that.
Thank you.
When you say he's not top 5, I take offense to that. When you give him a little bit of credit there, I'll give you that. You got a good point.
He's not in your top 5.
I think when it comes to JD5, these other guys, I think they got a little bit more to prove. Lamar, he hasn't won in the playoffs. So I'm still taking Jalen over a couple of those guys. Allen, Lamar, a couple more of these guys, I'll give them the edge. But what you're saying is fair. I don't think Jalen is a bad passer. That's my only disagreement. What you're saying about these other guys, I think it's completely fair. My only point is, brother, is that I think Jalen is a winner. And like I said, over the last 3 years, look at his record and look what he's done. Like I said, take out his first game in the playoffs. He has the 4th greatest passer rating of all time in the playoffs, right? So I think he's just a little bit undercredited, and that's my only problem.
Bro, you got to remember, though, the thing you're not understanding is with Shane Steichen, he was a monster. So if you include anything that has to do with Shane Steichen, that's where he was a top 5 NFL quarterback. He was a top 3 to 5 probably NFL quarterback.
But why do you think that is?
Okay,
though?
Because Shane Steichen, just like Minnesota did for their quarterback situation, I think Shane Steichen did for Jalen Hurts. I think that you're propping up a player that has a lot of weaknesses. You put him in the right places. You use him exactly the way you need to use him. Brock Purdy in San Francisco with everything perfect looks greater than he really is. That's just the nature of some situations. And it doesn't make the player bad. It's just he's a different player today without Shane Steichen than he was with Shane Steichen. So when you spout off stats that include Shane Steichen, of course you're going to have a lot of good numbers and different things. But since Steichen has left, he's been going downhill from a passing perspective. He scores a lot of touchdowns on the ground, bro. Tush push constantly, which is abusing him and breaking him down a little bit. He's always playing hurt, but Sirianni is not good for him. Regardless, if Shane Steichen came back, he probably returned to top 5 NFL quarterback status. But Jalen Hurts is throwing for 100-yard games, bro. You can't come in here and say, but they keep winning. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's not. He's not. Shane Steichen was a great fit for him. I don't know what Sirianni's doing wrong. Maybe it is all on Sirianni. Maybe they bring in the right person to work with him and get some things tweaked and he gets back to being a great passer. Don't forget that I was probably higher on anybody you can find on Jalen Hurts. I don't think you'll find a single content creator that had more to say on Jalen Hurts, because before he ever got to start, I was promoting him, and I think it was week 12, 13, 14, where he came in, got his first start, and I said he was going to go to the moon. He had a 300-yard, 3 TD game. The next game, he had another 300-yard, 3 TD game. He got benched, I believe, at halftime of that game too, and his coach was gone the next year because he didn't understand what he had. Shane Steichen molded and sculpted him the next year, turned him into a monster. He was a 300 to 400-yard passer any given game, 3 passing touchdowns any given game. That was Shane Steichen. He's a shell of himself right now than he was.
As a Birds fan, I miss him completely. But my question is, do you think that Kellen Moore is holding him back? Because the frustration that I have, like I said today, watching the game, watching the O-line collapse, and it's like, you look at the film last week, guys just aren't getting open. Seriously,
Bro.
go back and look at last week and look at the guys, the routes that they're running. It's like, what is he supposed to do?
I disagree.
That's my question.
I don't think
I
it's
thought
all
Kellen Moore
route
was gonna
running
be
at
our
all.
savior.
I don't think it's route running at all. I don't think he's good at throwing the ball right now. Regardless of why, I don't know. Steichen made him a 300-yard passer. Like, he's clearly, it was in the cards for him to do that. Right now, for whatever reason, he is not a good passing quarterback in this system. He has Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Goddard and Saquon Barkley. Are you telling me those 4 players aren't getting open? Hell no, bro. That's the most weapons any quarterback could ever be handed. This is the most offensive weapons out of any team in the National Football League, more than San Francisco, more than anybody. He has A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard, and Saquon Barkley. Barkley might be the best receiver on half the teams in the league, and that's their third option. Goddard, their fourth option. Like, there's I don't know. You need to go back and watch the film, bro. These guys are getting open. Jalen Hurts cannot deliver the football. They have to run the ball through Saquon Barkley and their amazing offensive line and their defense in order to win games. And they're going to get exposed, and the Washington Commanders are going to take them out because of all their voids and
what about the defense?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, those things can't carry you. You can only do so much. You can only go consecutively through the playoffs for so long when you've got gaping holes in your offense because your quarterback can't throw the football.
Can you do me a favor? Go back, Dan Orlovsky. He has a great.
I don't need Dan or bro. No,
Let me finish.
Finish
He
him.
has a great video breaking apart the film from last week.
Call terminated.
Go watch it. I think it's a.
The moment you come in and you start spouting off, go watch someone. You think I have time for that bullshit, bro? I don't need to watch Dan. Dan can watch me. Dan can watch this show. I don't need to watch Dan.
Let him cook.
Gotta be out of your mind, bro. Coming into here and not wiping your feet at the front door like that. That was completely out of pocket. Go watch Dan. Dan can watch me. What in the hell's wrong with people? Go ahead, Ron. I'm sure Ron's been stewing.
Yeah,
about
well,
something.
you changed my mind on Hurts, and I will agree with you. His passing has declined, but
Ron.
I wouldn't put him below Mahomes. Because
Of course you wouldn't. You hate Mahomes. It's no surprise.
No, I don't hate Mahomes, but you look at Mahomes and you do a comparison.
Ron,
Mahomes got 2 rushing
let's
touchdowns.
back up
Hurts
for a
has got
second.
14.
Ron, let's back up for a second because you got to keep in mind what the conversation is. The conversation is NFL quarterback is what that guy was arguing the entire time. You're telling me you start an organization. You start an organization tomorrow. You're drafting Hurts over Mahomes. Be careful before you put this out there, just to argue.
With this year's stats, yes.
Come on, Ron. Ron.
Hold on.
That's the biggest L take you've ever had on this channel.
Hold on. Hurts his rank, weekly rank, 10, 2, 24,
Weekly
13,
rank of
8,
Ron.
4,
Weekly
1,
rank of
2,
what?
3.
Ron. Weekly rank of what? Fantasy?
Quarterback ranking of all the quarterbacks for that week. You know what it is.
Fantasy?
Yes.
We're not talking. We're not talking fantasy right now, Ron.
What about you talk about passing yards. What about Mahomes with his 151 against Cincinnati, or his only 217 against Atlanta?
Ron, I'm gonna let this one slide. I'm gonna give you
159 against Cleveland.
I'm gonna give you a get out of Smitty jail free card once a week.
He hasn't had stellar
Please hand it to
this
me.
year.
Please hand me your get out of jail free card today, and I'll let this one slide.
No. Because you got to compare them on what they've done.
Ron,
I agree
Ron,
with you.
let's back up. Let's back up one more time just so I'm clear.
Has not done as good passing this year as he did in the past. And in the beginning, my pushback was he wasn't a good passer. Remember? And you said yes, he is.
You were
right. You were right on that.
He was.
One.
And he
I
was.
said you were right all along.
And he was.
But this year, you're giving Mahomes too much credit for mediocrity under center with his 151, his 210, is 154.
Ron,
is
just to be clear,
56.
you're starting your team over right now. Or you're a GM. You're telling me you're on the clock. Mahomes is there. From an NFL coaching perspective, you're the GM of the team. This has nothing to do with fantasy football. You're the GM. You're on the clock. You're drafting Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes. Arguably on his way, in not your eyes, but a lot of people's eyes, as being the GOAT if he wins his third Super Bowl, which I know you're not going to ever accept because you hate him and you hate the Chiefs and you hate everything else. But you're telling me you're drafting Jalen.
I never said I hated the Chiefs.
But you're drafting Jalen. You're drafting Jalen Hurts over Mahomes if you're starting an NFL franchise tomorrow. Come on, Ron. You know you're just trying to argue. There's no way you draft Jalen Hurts over Mahomes as a franchise. Not related to fantasy football. You're on the clock. He'd go number 1 overall.
I'll tell you this. Coming out, I draft JD5 over both of them, so there. You know,
that's okay.
Mahomes
that's okay.
But Mahomes, he hasn't proven nothing. We're going off of what
do you
he's
mean
done.
he hasn't
and
proven
he's
nothing?
What
do you mean he hasn't proven nothing? They have
one
one loss, Ron. They've got one loss. They've got one loss, and they're probably the favorite to win the whole thing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they have one loss thanks to other teams screwing up. They should have a lot more losses than one loss, shouldn't they? Yes. Actually, don't they have 2 losses? Yeah, that's it, because they didn't play the starters.
This is ridiculous.
So
no offense, Ron. This is a ridiculous conversation.
Well, why is it ridiculous?
For everything I just told you.
Because
Jalen Hurts isn't close. No.
Mahomes has the same problem.
Ron, it's ridiculous because Jalen Hurts can't even hold the jockstrap of Patrick Mahomes from an NFL quarterback-only perspective, not talking fantasy. This is a ridiculous conversation. 32 teams would take Mahomes over. Ron, 32 teams would take Mahomes over Jalen Hurts if starting a franchise tomorrow. 32 teams. 32 teams. Even the Bears. Even the Bears know to take Mahomes over Jalen Hurts. Ron, if you got your hands, if you got your paws on the organization and started making moves, you would destroy it if you're thinking like this. This is you trying to argue. 32 teams would take Mahomes over Hurts. 32 teams. Even the Bears.
Smitty, answer the question.
Joe Shine knows to take him over Hurts.
For their team this year.
Ron, you're speaking fantasy. You're trying to dip into fantasy. This whole conversation.
No, I'm talking regular score. You got to have the score to win games
Ron,
in the NFL, right?
They've lost one game. They've lost
if you're
one
more touchdowns,
game.
You're winning more games.
He lost Rashee Rice. He lost Isaiah Pacheco. He lost Hollywood Brown. He had nobody to throw to, and they lost one game. No, they're not excuses, Ron, because the team lost one game. Ron, you're not listening. It's not excuses. The team lost one game. He lost all those weapons, and the team lost one game. What are you talking about?
All the weapons. He's had Kelsey. He has Worthy. He's had plenty. He's had Hopkins. He's had plenty of weapons.
And they've lost one game.
They lost 2 games.
Well, one game Mahomes is playing.
Either way. But give Mahomes.
But it doesn't matter. They should have lost more. It was the other teams that handed them the win on a lot of those.
Ron, I'll give you one more chance. You're a GM. You're on the clock. You're taking Jalen Hurts as a GM of a team over Mahomes if you're on the clock starting a brand new franchise. You really want to say Jalen Hurts, or are you really just trying to argue a point? Because I really want to know what you truly believe. There's no way you believe this. There's no way anybody of sound mind, and Ron, I believe you have a sound mind. There's no way anybody of sound mind would draft Jalen Hurts from a football perspective.
You saying that I don't have a sound mind?
I think you do.
Hurts over Mahomes all the time.
No,
Ron, just because
like
I
arguing with
with
my
you,
mom.
I don't have a sound mind. No. Yeah,
Ma, is that you, Ma?
I think Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a better runner than Mahomes. He brings more value. He brings more touchdown possibilities. Yeah, I like Hurts more than Mahomes. So what?
Ron, you just like to argue. That's all it is.
And you're the one.
That's all it is.
that got me on the Hurts.
Well, I did not intend to get you on this train. I would have derailed it.
Just because he's having a down year, well, then if I'm the GM, I'm firing the offensive coordinator and getting somebody in there that'll
wild.
Set it straight.
This is wild. There's no way. Let's get
wild.
Let's get a poll. Let's get a poll
Really?
going. You're a GM. Who are you drafting as your QB? Mahomes or Hurts? I'm going to put this in a poll. And
in fact, Mahomes had a sub-year last year.
I can't believe
he didn't come on until the playoffs.
I can't believe I'm even creating this for you. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of time.
It's not a waste of time.
Vote on this right now.
Nothing's ever a waste of time.
Vote on this right now. Vote on this right now. And this is wild. This is absolutely wild. Let me put this up on screen.
Hey, Knight, we could be doing a lot better if I was running the Steelers than Tomlin. That's a fact.
That's not hard.
Ron.
Exactly. That's saying a lot, isn't it, Travis?
This is unbelievable.
I get it wrong, but I just want to say real quick that, like, I openly root against Mahomes. Like, I have no problem with him as a guy, but I root against the Chiefs. I don't want him to get Brady, like, as a biased fan, all that. But there's no way that you can sit there and say, things equal.
No way.
If you just took A.J. Brown alone and stuck him on the Chiefs.
Here's the link. Vote right now. Drop the link again.
It's not close.
I can't believe there are two people that voted Hurts, to be honest with you. But it's Mahomes 17, Hurts 2. This is just a ridiculous conversation. Ron, I expect more of you. You got such a good football mind too.
You don't.
I expect more. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't expect more of me.
Maybe I don't. I don't know. Now this is where Ron says, "Okay, I was just joking." You know you're not, Ron.
No, I'm not joking. I'm being totally serious. I take Hurts over Mahomes.
I know you would.
I think Mahomes, especially these last 2 years. Yes, it's a team game. The team got him into the Super Bowl. And Hurts had a mediocre year regular season. He was mediocre last year. He was mediocre again this year.
And remember, when you're voting, some of you aren't going to listen. When you're voting, you're voting for NFL. You're a GM. This has nothing to do with fantasy football. You're a GM and you're on the clock. Are you drafting Mahomes or Hurts? And remember, you're putting this out there for everybody to know. And
that's fine. I don't hide.
Ron.
When have I ever hidden?
All right,
ever hidden, Smitty?
Let me go over to John. John, you're live.
Hey, Smitty, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys
All right, later, Travis.
I was going to say, I think Patrick Mahomes is too far removed from the aired-out offense at Texas Tech. And, I mean, if you look at it objectively, it's kind of like it does sway a little bit towards Ron, but he's still.
What do you mean it sways toward Ron?
He's performing. Patrick Mahomes is still performing way better.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
I'm on your side, Smitty.
No, you're not. No, you don't. I don't need you to be on my side. I need you to answer honestly, objectively, and with your brain. And when you say it leans toward Ron, it doesn't lean toward Ron. We're not talking fantasy football production, John. We're talking about if you're a GM and you're on the clock and Hurts and Mahomes are both available, are you trying to tell me that you even consider draft? No. Are you consider?
You're taking Mahomes.
No, but you said it leaning Ron in some. Are you even considering drafting Hurts over Mahomes as a GM? This is a ridiculous argument.
I would not consider it.
Okay.
I would not consider
then that's
it.
different than what you tried to say.
His style of play has changed, and I don't think it's necessarily his fault. I think it's more the way the teams are playing against him. They're making it to where they can't do the whole 40, 50-yard plus passes, and they don't really have any wide receivers either. D-Hop's 30. He's going on 31, 32.
Right. Hey, enough of this topic. John, what can I do for you? I'm tired of talking. This is like people are watching going, what is this, beginners fantasy? Is this a beginners show for football? Like, what are we doing here? Go ahead.
If J5 balls out again and Zach Ertz performs well, do you think I could possibly get a second-round pick if I package him with like an Adam Thielen to somebody who's contending? Zach Ertz, Thielen, or some other player for a second round?
Zach Ertz and Thielen for a second-round rookie pick? I don't know. Probably not, bro. In Dynasty, people want nothing to do with older players. Like, you even have a hard time trading Derrick Henry at all right now. Even no matter how good he plays and he's playing, even if he could have one more good year, Derrick Henry is so hard to trade in Dynasty. Zach Ertz is ancient. I don't think any in Thielen's ancient. But you never know. I mean, you never know, bro. Could always try.
Appreciate it. Will you be doing a show on like players to move off of, or players to move off?
What do I look like, John? Do I look like an idiot? I won't be mad. Just be honest. Because
no, sir.
Okay. Of course, I'll be doing those shows, bro. Every day.
Oh, you'll be mad. Yeah, you will. You always skew it, Smitty, because as soon as he started talking, you started interrupting him. You didn't even let him finish his thought.
Because I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah, whatever.
Ron, this is a ridiculous waste of time to have this conversation. That's what I truly feel. I truly feel it's a big waste of airtime to be talking about.
I can tell you this: if you add up Mahomes stats and you add up Hurts stats for the last 2 years, Hurts has them in touchdowns. Hurts has them in total.
Why do you keep using stats?
Hurts has them.
Why do you keep using stats? You're the GM of a franchise.
Why,
you're trying to win Ron, you're trying to win Super Bowls. Are you?
Yeah.
So why do you keep arguing stats? You brought up fantasy. You can't want Jalen Hurts over Patrick Mahomes. It's asinine. It's
Smitty,
absolutely
even Trent Dilfer won a
asinine.
Super Bowl. Even Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Ron, you're
So
just
don't
trying
bring
to
the Super
argue
Bowl
this. You're
crap
trying.
up
You're just trying to
about,
argue.
Just
All
because
right.
Mahomes had a crappy regular season and he lucked out and won the Super Bowl. I mean, hey, anybody can win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So that's why it's a team game.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying.
All right. Anything else, Ron, before I do jump out of here? By the way, your vote is 28 to 5.
I'm surprised you haven't hung up on me just for shits and giggles.
It's close. you're breaching that point. Final thought, Ron. Final thought.
Nope. I don't have no final thoughts except that.
All right, later,
I guess
Ron.
that's it.
All right, appreciate you. Later.
All right.
God, no matter what, Ron, just whatever the topic is, I could have come in and said the opposite, and he'd been like, oh, I don't know. You know I'm against Mahomes, but Mahomes is better. You gotta be. And Weekend says that Washington is not beating the Eagles. Okay. We'll see, my guy. We'll see. All right, I'm out of here. Appreciate you all. Thank you all for the super chats. We have Ray with one more. It says, Ron is so ridiculous, says Ray. Sometimes he is. It is weird. It is weird because I believe Ron does have a good football mind. But, like, that take is just definitely the worst take he's ever had. That is the biggest Ron L take I've ever heard. And he overshadowed the guy that kind of started the conversation. What's his name? What was this? Dimitri or whoever the hell it was from Arizona. I forget what his name was. But he called in and Ron just totally stole the stage from him. Ron wanted to like Hurts more than him. Had to take away that guy's thunder. Here we are talking about his bad take, and now we're here talking about Ron, who took over and just manhandled the take and consumed it. A.J. Brown reading poetry. It's so good in Philly. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know that is a good thing at all. Everybody keeps acting like that's a good thing in Philly. Philly fans are embracing it. It's ridiculous. Sirianni should be fired for allowing A.J. Brown to read a book on the sideline instead of cheering his team on. This is ridiculous. This has become. This is a mockery. I think John Gruden and Bill Belichick are absolutely steaming probably over this. Like, I'd never allow a player to read a book on the sideline, and that is an acceptable take. But Philly still is one of the last four teams standing, because they have such a good defense, because they have such a good run game. Because Hurts can run the ball, and that's part of the run game. Hurts is a good part of the run game. Hurts is not a good part of the pass game. If A.J. Brown's reading books because he can't get utilized. Now, that's A.J. Brown's bad decision-making, but it does take two to tango. And this guy, A.J. Brown, is fed up with not getting the football. Regardless. They're winning, though, so that's also on him, right? Why are you being such a baby when you're winning games? But I understand where it derived from. Why did he develop into a diva over this? Because he doesn't get the damn ball because Jalen Hurts doesn't know how to throw the football anymore. Chuck says you're wrong on the A.J. Brown take. Good, I'm glad you think so, Chuck. Go draft him. That's fine by me. I'll see you all later. Peace out. Appreciate you.
There are 2 5s? JD 5? AR 5? There can't be.
Oh no.
They're gonna cross streams. Oops. Well, damn.
Thank you, Freedom, for your message, Freedom.
He's a 5. JD5 is the only 5. JD5 is him, and now all can see. He graduated from Himothy University. Unleash the Washington Kraken. JD5 to Saturn
And beyond.
to Saturn
And beyond.
Supernova.
Freedom, appreciate your 3-month celebratory membership question. Hang up on this, bro. I don't know much. If you're talking about Ron or the other guy. Thomas, I like Dan. Dan's all right, but it's just weird to call up a channel where somebody specializes in analyzing, scouting, creating their own opinion, and he wants me to go watch someone else's show. No, thank you. No, thank you. But yeah, Thomas, appreciate you. Yeah, you should go. You might learn something if you go watch him and look at his take on Hurts. I think you might change your mind.
Take a big lap. We don't need your hating ass coming back.
And no, Thomas, I wasn't meaning that toward you, by the way. the other guy.
Take a lap. Don't come back. You're a Kyron hater. You're an HN instigator.
Go read a book.
Taught you how to be anything but AC Slater. And even if you want to pretend you like Kyron Williams now, he's never gonna love you back, so he won't turn no frowns upside down. Maybe you never had a papa, and that's okay, cause I could be your daddy. Your mama never minded, so let's just be a big family. Kyron, HN, Bijan, Chase Brown. Look, there's another touchdown. If I'm gonna be your papa, you better get going. Take your lap and run it hard. And throw a little wave as you run down Smitty Boulevard.
Take a big lap. We don't need your hating ass coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back. Take a big lap. We don't need your hating ass coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back. Take a big lap. We don't need your hating ass coming back now. Take a big lap. Take one and you don't come back.
Got him.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
He's Kyron. He's 7 feet.
Got him.
Legend has it if you say St. Brown 3 times in the dark in the bathroom, you will immediately lose your league.